action, and welcome everybody. This is PnP Weekly episode 235. It is 5th of February and the dog is paying attention. Now,
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, so in the PnP Weekly, I always talk about the latest on Microsoft 365 and the partner technologies like Power Platform and Azure. And this time, and we always, we have few exceptions on that. Always typically have a visitor in the PnP Weekly. This time, the visitor is.
Today's guest is Nico De Cleyre. He is MVP from Belgium. He is actually newly minted MVP for M365. He is a developer. He's been a dev in the M365 space already for a few years. And we had with him a great chat about where he comes from, what he did over the course of years, and where he is now. So without further ado, let's jump to the interview.
Cool. So let's actually get started. So welcome, Nico, on the PnP Weekly episode 235, right, Waldek?
Correct.
So. Yes.
You're paying attention.
Yes, I double-checked the number. Now, so Nico, can you do a quick intro of who you are and what do you do for a living?
I'm a Microsoft 365 developer since 13 years. I am from Belgium. I have a wife and two kids, two lovely daughters. And I started, as I said, 13 years ago as a Microsoft 365 developer. And then throughout the years, I developed into a technical lead role. And now since a couple of months, I started as a managing partner of a new startup.
Cool. That's a lot of to untackle. So let's start with a 13 years Microsoft 365 developer. Microsoft 365 technically didn't exist at the time, so that was a bit of a change, right?
That's right. I started in SharePoint on-prem with the well-known farm solutions and sandbox solutions. So a lot of challenges there.
If you have any questions, happy to help. So.
30 years back, right? So that is 2011, I guess. So
yes.
Back then, what did we have? SharePoint 2010?
2010, yes.
Yeah, 2010, yes, that's correct.
A lot has changed, huh?
Well, I was looking for a job in Lotus I can't remember. But I was looking for a job in something else. But then the recruiter said to me, "Look, we're doing something like SharePoint. Are you interested in that?" And I was like, "What is SharePoint?" but I said, "Okay, looks fine to me." So I jumped into it, and it was pretty cool from the beginning.
Yep.
Pretty challenging back then.
And it is actually for anybody who's watching this as a bit of a newer person, they don't necessarily know, but SharePoint grew to be $5 to $7 billion product at the time, and everybody was building basically insurance and collaboration. Everything else was in SharePoint, because that was the on-premises, the only product which was basically available in on-prem, plus the .com sites, because both me and Waldek used to do .com sites in SharePoint, which now feels like a wow, that's interesting.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think so. So that got
it was a good product for it.
Yeah, I mean, it was introduced in MOS, right? In 2007, we got because back then it was merged with MCMS.
Correct.
Right, so all of that was brought into one, and I mean, it made sense. Like from the IT point of view, if you had one system for all things web,
correct,
made perfect sense.
Yeah. And now we have then evolved this fragmented cloud services. So many things to follow up on what's happening. So what are you doing on the Microsoft 365 side? So focusing on a bit of there. So you transitioned from farm solution, obviously from on-prem to the cloud, as we all did.
Or have you?
Or have you?
I have. Well, a couple of years ago, I guess 5 years ago, I evolved into the SPFX solution, so more in TypeScript and stuff. And I must say, I found it much cooler to do SPFX solutions than to make farm solutions or sandbox solutions on-prem. So that really motivated me to do more, to learn more. And next to that, I also sometimes make Power App solutions or Power Automate solutions. So a bit of a mix between those two.
Yeah. And of course, the good thing about SPFX was the fact that it's finally industry standard. So it's not proprietary programming models or anything like that, what SharePoint was. It's actually kind of funny to think about. At certain moment of a time, SharePoint was the chosen one. And what it meant was every single time people said that, what are we going to build? .com website. Yeah, don't go just IIS. Go SharePoint. SharePoint is the right way to do. But there's always the one chosen one, which we always push to. We as a Microsoft, we tend to I always chose the one, and then we say, this is now the hammer, which will fit to every single problem what you have. So, but again, so SPFX, I think, was a for sure, it was a great step forward related on, industry standard technology, all of that. And then making all of those SharePoint developers to be aware of the web stack development models, NPMs and Node.js and all of that. And that's been an interesting transition within the past years.
Absolutely, right. And I wonder, right, so you experienced firsthand developing, with C#.NET, VS on Windows for forms for the WSP. How did you find the transition from that approach to node-based tooling, any platform, JavaScript, all the way? How did you find that?
It wasn't really easy, I must say, because it was totally different from going from C# to TypeScript and Node.js and stuff. And the fact I didn't have the chance to learn it from somebody else. I have to learn it for myself. So that wasn't really easy. But I must say, once I got into it, I enjoyed it very much, and I got more energy about making SPFX solutions than I did when making form solutions or sandbox solutions. So it was a nice transition.
Yeah. And it's always it's a great opportunity to reset the technical skill set, and then being more broad and understanding that you have more, demand in the ecosystem because of the skill sets as well, right?
Yeah, that's right. I had the feeling that it brightened my skills.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, already you mentioned that you once in a while you also build things on Power Apps. So you already have a full stack where you've got C#.NET for server-side code you've done in the past, but obviously you still master the runtime, the language. Then you've got JavaScript, TypeScript, which you probably from the SPFX point of view, you do both. You do server-side in a sense of the tool chain, right? Which you run like gulp tests and all that, but then also the client-side part to actually reach out to requests and all that, or to APIs. And then on Power Apps, and you probably also the things you build, you deploy them maybe to Azure. So you already cover a full spectrum of technologies.
True.
Only from that one thing because you choose to build on SPFX or on M365. How do you experience that, and how do you learn that and stay on top of everything that you can do? Because it's a lot.
Well, I learned it along the way, I must say. The Microsoft 365 environment is evaluating so fast that you kind of have to be on the train with all the evolutions. So when something new comes out, I try to learn it. So I did with Power Automate, but also with Azure Functions, and that's how I like to do daily stuff. To have a very bright spectrum of all the things I can do, of all the things I can learn, because I don't want to focus on one single point.
Yeah, makes sense. It's actually kind of that's just a full kind of a small nuance, but the Azure Functions is a really good example of something which went completely through the ecosystem. Everybody is using Azure Functions because it's by far the it's a building block which you cannot avoid almost unless you're doing web APIs and all of that stuff. But again, it's interesting how these things evolve to be cross-industry usage as such. But again, that's a really good journey line. Well, on the Power Apps, did you find your previous background to be useful for Power Apps, and did it help on understanding that, or was it like, okay, so this is completely new? new model and new thing which I need to learn?
Well, for me, it felt like it was easier to learn. Like for instance, SPFX, because it was low code / no code, so you could very easily make basic things with Power Apps. So the investment in learning was less more, I must say.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like you don't get as much control, you would say, or you don't even have the debugging experience. So like as a dev, you're used to, I can write code, I get IntelliSense, I can press F9, set breakpoints, step to my code. You don't get that on Power Platform, right? So what was your mindset there? Like, did you have to shift a lot, or was it like, well, shrug, that's the way it is, I just stick with that?
Well, I must say you have less freedom in Power Apps than you have in SPFX solutions, for instance. But yeah, it's just the way it is. Normally, when a client says, "I want to have something," we go with multiple scenarios, like an SPFX solution or Power Apps solution, and based on what the client wants, yeah, we build it. So we just say like, okay, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing you mentioned, and it's actually related a bit to kind of the breadth of experience you've got building on M365. You are a partner in a company, like you started a new company. Is it? Tell us more about it. Like, what does the company do? Is it a consultancy shop? Do you have a product? And how do you, like, why did you choose to start a company in the M365 space?
Well, for me, it was kind of a
Not
surprise.
that there's nothing wrong about that. Just saying.
No, just curious.
No, not really. Well, a couple of months ago, there was something that asked me, "Are you interested in becoming a managing partner?" And I was like, "I don't know. Let us talk about it." And so we talked about it, and yeah, the challenge is eventually the thing that got me into doing the managing partner role. Because when I was a consultant in companies, I always said something like, "Okay, that could be better," or the people approach, which I find very important, can be better and stuff. And so now I have the chance to do it my way, I can say, to do for the people that they are happy at work and stuff. So for me, that was a challenge to take. And so the company, it's actually a new startup from an already existing company. And we are going to focus on the Microsoft 365 stack, so Power Platform, but also SharePoint, Teams, Viva, governance, which is very important in many environments, and also Copilot.
Obviously.
Obviously.
But okay, can you talk a bit about that decision, path, and it seems like a pretty, you were basically a consultant, you have a long-term historical background, all of that, everything is fine, and then you say, well, I actually want to be in a startup. And again, you talked about that it's the you want to show how it can be done, considering your thoughts on doing that, but it's still a pretty big move to actually start doing that. So you have a partner, obviously you have other people you're doing that with. What was the combination, and what was kind of the okay, let's do this, let's make this happen?
Well, I noticed in my career the last couple of years when I had the technical lead role, that I also had a very interest in people management. So when people didn't feel good in a company or didn't feel good at home, even I was that attracted me, like to talk with those people and to make them feel good. So in that kind of thinking, that's something that evolved into doing what I do now. And I had a couple of talks with all sort of people, and the last talk was with my co-managing partner, with Klaas Lauwers, and we had a very good talk, and it's matched because Klaas is something totally different than me. It's like very direct, and I'm more pragmatic. So that combination really attracted me to start our company.
Yeah. And is he more like in the sales side, and you're the technical side, or what's the? Okay, got it.
Yeah,
got it.
He's more at the sales side, and it's very good in it, and that's really matched.
Yeah.
If you think about, and that's a very typical thing you hear a lot. Where do you want to be in 3 years with the company? Like, what is your ambitions? Like I don't know if you know about the term like BHAG, big hairy audacious goal.
No.
Like you really the moonshot. Like, where do you want to be?
I want to have a team that is happy in what they do, that they come to work as happy people. We want to have a team with people that stay because they are happy. If they leave for another role, that's totally fine. But if they leave because they're unhappy, that would really make me sad. So yeah, if I can choose in 3-4 years, have a team with a lot of happy people.
Shiny happy people. There's a song about it.
Happy people.
Way back.
Way back. I should actually. Is it okay? Maybe it is okay to actually clip that in this video, so
yes.
Without. Anyway. Sorry. Cool. So and how the company was established a few months ago, right? So you kind of a transition to the new company. How is it? How's the start? You had some customers already queuing in. You had some questions already, and it was a spin-off on another company, which probably helps as well. So it's feeding work from that side.
That's right. So that helps. That another company is that's a spin-off from another company, because if you have to start from scratch, you have to invest a lot and stuff. So that doesn't make it easy. But in this case, it's very cool. How is it now? Well, as I said, Cloud is very good at sales because we have more sales than we have consultants. So that's a bit of a problem there.
Yep. It's a positive problem. This is positive problem, right? So
it is positive. It's very positive. But yeah, it's not. But it's not always easy, because you have to find people. You have to convince them to come to work at our company. And in Belgium, there is something in the IT that's called IP ruling. That's a rule that says that your wage isn't taxed for 20% or something like that. So people started to earn more, but now the government said, like, okay, that's finished. We don't do it anymore. So now people want to compensate that in wage. So that's also a new challenge that comes along when finding new people.
Yeah.
So it's challenging, but it's really fun. I go to work every day with a lot of energy, and I'm very happy. So yeah, I like the challenges.
Yeah.
If we talk about the things that changed few months back, there's one more thing that changed. You became an MVP.
That's right.
Tell us more about, like, how did that come to be, and what's changed, if anything?
Well, I always said something like share my knowledge. That's something I always like to do. As I was in a company, I always shared my knowledge in posts in Steam, like a lot of long blog posts in Teams. But I always said something like, what can I blog for other people? I don't have anything to tell. But then a couple of years ago, I was at Collab Days Belgium, where I talked to Elias Struve.
Yep.
And I talked to him about his blogging, because he blogs a lot. And I asked him, why do you do it? And he said, like, for me, it's an archive. And I had something like, okay, that's a very good point of view. I will use that, and I will also start to blog. And on the same event, I also talked to Milan and JC, who are two maintainers of the CLI for Microsoft 365. And I always had interest in the open source projects from PnP, but I didn't saw how I could contribute. But after they talked to me and they told about the CLI for Microsoft 365, I was something like, okay, let's try it. And so I did. And so I started to contribute, and so I evolved from someone share his knowledge into blogging, into open source projects, and now also into speaking at events. So
Can you talk about that? That's actually a critical piece on the what you're saying. Can you talk about that? That decision. What convinced you to contribute in open source? What was the blocking factor of not being actively involved? Was it more like, well, I don't know how, and then somebody showed, and I was like, oh, that's easy. Well, here we go.
Yeah, it was like I said, I didn't know how, but after JC and Milan explained to me, and I take a good look at it, it was something like, okay, that's cool. And so I did my first contribution, and I was like, okay, that is easy, but I liked it, and I immediately did a second and a third one and a fourth one, and so yeah, from there I did the contributions I did.
And of course, those contributions do count as when you get to MVP. The whole point of MVP is also people are evaluating a bit about how much people are contributing and sharing and all of that, and all of the open source contributions, community call demos, all of that counts as a positive marker for there. Right, Waldek?
Correct. And I'm trying to.
Sorry.
I'm looking now at the PnP or the CLI of Microsoft 365 repo. Totally because I think, Nico, you are one of the most active contributors that we've got. There you go. In the last 3 months, you are number 3. Right? So from all the folks who contribute to CLI of Microsoft 365, you are the 3rd most active. Which is great.
Are you the most active one, Waldek? Just checking.
Yes, but that's you
have automation
not quite
behind
fair, right? Because I get to merge stuff, so like my name gets attached to everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really, really cool to see the amount of work and effort you put in, and it shows because it helps us build something for everybody else to benefit from, right? So if you think about sharing your experience, that is a great way because that allows you to multiply kind of your reach. Like you do one thing and that reaches hundreds, maybe thousands of folks, right?
Yep. Yeah.
That's right, but it's mutual because I also learned from others when I started to contribute to the CLI for Microsoft 365 repo. I didn't really know about unit testing, but the CLI use unit testing for everything. So that's something I had to learn. And when a maintainer reviews a contribution, a PR for me, then he also say like, we can do this better and this better. So it's mutual. You can learn from others.
Yeah.
Let me, by the way, do a small adjustment. You are not number 3 in the last 3 months. You are number 3 ever. So if we look CLI all up over the last 6 years, you are 3rd. That's a lot. That's not nothing.
So thank you, Nico.
Cool.
Right.
Absolutely.
Cool, but yeah, that it's not a competition. Everyone that contributes is a hero in my eyes. So,
Absolutely. But I mean, it only shows, the amount of time and effort you put into it, and the fact that we really appreciate that because again, it helps us advance community, and help people achieve more. It sounds corny, but it is exactly that. Like we raise the bar for folks so that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Like we give you the wheel, we give you, chassis, the whole car, just drive and go and do the things you actually want to do, as opposed to think like how do I call that API? Like, don't worry about it. Let us give you the baseline so that you can build upon it.
Yeah,
that's right.
And obviously, that applies to all of the projects and all of the tooling what's available
the same
there.
Thing, right?
So it's the same thing. It's actually pretty mind-blowing. I'm just watching the stats. We had 1.1 million views in the PnP GitHub organization in January.
Just
1.1 million.
But that's much.
What are people doing?
And more than 116,000 unique visitors, which is a massive number as well, considering the fact that that's just mind-boggling numbers, and these are much bigger than. Well, it's not a competition, but yeah, it's these numbers are out of the roof comparing a lot of the other organizations. So it's good to see that the open source and community powered organizations are actually the ones where we have the most views and most actions, which is kind of understandable as well, because people relate on people, and that's something what we see within the social media, within the messaging. It's not about the corporate messaging necessarily. It's about us. It's about human beings. So
yeah, but I think it is important that you love what you do,
yes.
because I loved contributing to the CLI for Microsoft 365 and also other repos. But if you don't love what you do, you don't do it as much.
True.
As
True. Yeah. And then you might, in a worst case scenario, try to burn out or whatever, because you're doing that for the wrong reasons rather than for the good reasons. So
the right reasons.
Yeah.
Right reasons. True.
No.
Now we now talked a bit about that MVP and these contributions, but and the why. Let me ask that one more time. Why are you giving away your own free time for the benefit of others? Because this is there's an interesting level of a regional and country level contributions.
Mm-hmm.
There's not going to go too much details, but there's a certain regions in the world where people are contributing more in open source versus in the others, and then there's a certain differences how people are behaving. What's in it for you? So what's kind of what's getting you back in the CLI for Microsoft 365 or for the SPFX web parts and contributing back?
It's just fun for me. I like it. It gives me energy, and for me, it's like just playing a game. It gives me the same energy back. It's do you say it's yeah. It just gives me energy, and I'm always the kind of person who likes to share my knowledge, to share my time, because when I started my career, it didn't go very well because I didn't. I was all alone. I didn't have people who would help me into learning, become a SharePoint developer back then.
Yep.
So that mindset makes me always kind of wanting to help other people, to share my knowledge. So that's a very, very important thing. And as I said before, when you love what you do, you just do what you do. It's that simple.
Yeah. Obviously, in Microsoft and related on community and everything else, we've seen kind of a lot of interesting behaviors and approaches. And one thing, there's few kind of an awesome examples where people have created something internally and in Microsoft, and then they come to us and we'll talk about, hey, that's really cool. Can you put it out? This is absolutely brilliant. This could be, useful for the community. And all of a sudden people are like, no, this is my precious. I was like, well, okay. And then we never hear about it anymore. So, which is actually the interesting piece in all of this contribution discussion is quite often people who, this is my precious, and then within 2 to 3 years, there's no value on that precious anymore. But if they would have shared it, the whole ecosystem would have known who actually contributed and who shared it, and then we could have been able to build something on top of that. But there's unfortunately quite a lot of, we've seen things together with Waldek on the Microsoft where people are like, this is really cool. I don't want to actually give it away because this is my precious. And then within 2 to 3 to 5 years, there's no value.
To be honest, it is really in every org. Right? I mean, like we've seen, I've seen the forms of that in different orgs too, where people are like, when you have an idea, like you want to turn it into a business thing, where you're like, well, will that really become a business? Well, maybe not. But then, like, yeah, you try to do that, and it's always hard to say up front to what extent it's going to be better to give away things for free, because like, why would you give away things for free?
Yep.
So then you try to make it into a business, but it's also not quite a business because it isn't your core thing. You just build something aside, and because it sounds weird to give it away for free, you don't, and it's kind of this weird thing where it's not really a product, it's not your core thing, so you don't really spend time on it.
Sure.
But it's also not your core thing, so it doesn't really get the attention and the impact that it might have had otherwise.
Yes.
Right? So there is no easy. It isn't easy for many folks because it sounds really counterintuitive.
Yeah, but sharing is caring. I must say, and most of the time, you can achieve more as a team than you can do as an individual.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also then that precious whatever it is doesn't actually get forgotten or not used, or anybody never benefit out of that. So there's unfortunate examples. What was it, Waldek? Was it with you? There was the CSAM mocking framework, whatever, which is completely outdated nowadays. Doesn't really matter. But there was a internal. I'm just telling this openly in the recording, which I probably shouldn't.
You mean the thing that we've built that came out of Microsoft R&D in 2010 or 2008, even the malls, PECs and malls, or what was it?
Was it? And there was somebody had mocked the whole SharePoint CSAM API, and you would have been able to do testing and automation and all of that.
There wasn't even CSAM. I think there was even farms. So I don't know. We're talking about the same thing.
Well, there's the PECs and malls thing. Yes, that's true as well. But it might be a different thing. But it was like, stuff like CSAM API. If you could be able to do unit testing on the CSAM API worldwide in your code, that's like, oh my God, that would have been useful at certain time of, not anymore, but it would have been useful at certain time because CSAM is pretty much, still supported, all good and will be supported, but it's not the API which we're using. But then the team basically decided, oh, this seems to be now more valuable than we were thinking, so we'll keep it to ourselves, which is like, well, but okay, now nobody benefits out of that. So that's stupid. So it's kind of lost value on, because we thought that it might be too powerful for the ecosystem. Well, what does that mean? What?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Again, completely outdated at this point. PECs and malls, that's actually really good. Yes.
Yeah, I think that was into. So I recall meeting these folks when I was at TechEd in Berlin, and whenever it was, somewhere between 2009, 13, 2010. 14.
Oh, okay, even older. Yeah.
Way back, way back when. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe even 2008. I don't know, like way back when. It was a thing then. So.
Yeah. Yes. And now it's 2023, and we never saw anything out of it. So, but it was a good idea. So.
Well, I mean, like in a way, it's the same thing where you start a business, right? And you have an idea about it where you want to justify spending your time on the impactful things, and then you ship something, you release it in the open, and you don't see traction around it.
Yep.
And if the horizon you've got isn't far enough out, you will stop, right? Because you'll be like, okay, I want to give this thing 3 months. If it doesn't become a viral thing overnight, stop it because it's irrelevant. Well, I mean, and we see it time and again with the projects that we do in PnP, right? Is that the overnight success takes sometimes even years.
Yes. Same, by the way, applies for product features. Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes even then, you will not get virality out of it because that's not how our space works. Like for some things, yes. But on the other hand, like in our thing, like the audience isn't really that broad comparing, the whole world.
Yeah.
Right. So the viral aspect of it isn't always applicable. While if that is your idea, well, then you will not get that, and you will stop kind of everything with every effort that you will start.
And I related on this one. I love the classic example of, well, we shipped it already 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and nobody is using that. Did you tell anybody you shipped it? No, we didn't. It's in a GitHub. It's in a GitHub. There's a new version in a GitHub. Why didn't they find it? Well, because there's a lot of stuff in a GitHub, people. Communicate.
Well, I guess Waldek is doing a great job on that, like on the dev proxy, which is a great project. But you are doing a lot of traction on Twitter and LinkedIn about the dev proxy, so people get to know the product.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, even there, it's like, if you ask me, it's nowhere near enough. Right. Yep. So it should have been so much more, but yeah, it's just, physics and realities of life. Plus, I love to build stuff. So it's like, oh my God, like my fingers itch to build something. Like, no, like I can build 10 more things. So we need to balance it out also with, telling folks about the things that we've already built. Because if we just build, and then don't tell anybody, it doesn't make any sense. It's the same, as the proverbial tree that falls and there is no one around. Did it really fell?
Yep.
Right?
But did it make a sound? So
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, that is a good point. You need to balance that out. And then in the best case scenario, like with CLI, Adam is helping a lot about communicating and repeating and all of that stuff. So you amplify the storytelling with other people. And that comes back on sharing is caring and working as an individual team on joint objectives. So really, really good. Communications is crucial for success of anything, not just the technology. So
well, yeah, and then maybe another aspect to it is that it's counterintuitive because it's very much unlike tech. Like in tech, you have a feature, you have a request, you build it, and it's done and it's shipped.
Yes.
In comms, in marketing, you cannot say like, I'm going to share a single tweet and it's done. I'm going to tell one, and then everybody will know, right?
Of course.
No, they won't. Right. So it's very much the other spectrum where you repeat yourself time and again to the point where you feel like I've said like that thing already 10 times. Is it, is it enough? Like everybody needs to know now, right? Absolutely not. Like you got to rinse and repeat. So it's this interesting thing, like the moment you step out of tech, and whether that's marketing, people management, or different things, the mechanics are different. And it's so, in a way, rich. Like you learn, you flex new muscle, you discover a new part, like, hey, I can do this too, and it works differently. So it's really, really cool to learn it.
Yeah, that's right. And I think what Vesa said, communication is key in all sorts of relationships. You see that also on the work environment.
Yep.
People are like, okay, I'm frustrated. Okay, but have you said something about it? Well, no. Well, how could I know?
Exactly. Yes.
Communication. The three most important things in IT or in any work life: communication. So,
but it's not always easy because in IT you have it's maybe a stereotype, but you have a lot of introvert people.
True.
So communication isn't always easy for some people.
True.
But
definitely.
It's important.
It is for sure. Now, I think we are a bit running out of time again. Always good discussion. These are really good. So all the best, Nico, for the business. I'm pretty sure that that's going to succeed. What's happening this week? Anything interesting on your table?
I'm seeing a couple of people who are
for recruitment.
Yep.
Cool.
So this Thursday I have a session in my company about CLI for Microsoft 365, which is always cool. Sharing is caring. So a lot of interesting stuff this week.
Really good. Waldek, what's on your table?
Interesting things. Last week, I spent some time trying to see if I could break apps built with .NET Aspire. So it's a new framework that we have at Microsoft that were released I think a few months back that allows you to build cloud-ready apps. And it's like this real thing. Like it makes it really easy to decompose your app into building blocks such as database queues, basically the whole infra things in code. And it intrigued me, like, could we simulate errors in there too? So I spent last week some time researching that, and it's really cool to see that we got it to work. So it's really, really cool. And now it's time to write it up and share with folks like, hey, if you use this new tech to build apps, this is how you can see how robust your app will be and will it fail in production or not, right? Because like eventually, as all things, APIs that you use will fail eventually. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And when they do, you don't want to break, because like what is the worst part that you will break? You will lose the data of the customers who use your app. And that's something that is not acceptable, right? So you want to be ahead of that. And proxy is really a great way to do that, right? Because it allows you to really easily test your app. So I spend some time around on that, trying to understand like how can you use proxy with the different types of apps. How can you use it with .NET Aspire, .NET itself, Node, Azure Functions. So you can expect more content around that. Not to mention just start telling everybody once, and again, what is it that we've built? What is it that we have to offer, and how to get to use it?
Communication.
Yes, very much, very much. Getting to the point where I feel like I sound like a broken record.
No.
What about you?
I can relate on that one. I have actually a lot of communication internally for this week, related on the progress and reporting and all of that stuff. And we're planning on an MVP Summit, which is coming in March, which is really cool for MVPs. For those, you can join hybrid as well, but there will be people flying over to Redmond as well in the early weeks of March, and we need to lock down the program there. We're looking down the plans for Microsoft 365 conference and European Collaboration Summit. So a lot of coordination and track adjustments and community calls, obviously. So, which are actually growing dramatically. So, which is really cool. We're getting 350 live attendees every single week on Tuesday call, which is mind-boggling. But it's really cool. So, a lot of co-pilot stuff this week again on the community call. So, making sure that people are aware of what's possible and what's not possible.
Exactly. So, again, like it's all about awareness.
Yes.
It's not just the initial ship things.
No, definitely.
We need to help people understand, like first show what's there, and then help them understand, wrap their head around. Okay, so just because that is there, that what it means for you. That is what it allows you to do, right? Because oftentimes it's also the thing that if you are immersed in something, and whether that's building an app or technology or whatever area, you're immersed in it, right? So that is kind of the reality you've got. So you really easily, connect the dots.
Yep.
But then you say something to someone else who doesn't have the background, who isn't really that immersed in it.
Correct.
And if you don't connect the dots for them, you kind of assume that they will be able to do it by themselves. Why would they? Right? Because like imagine like the journey you went through to get to the point where you are, where you can connect the dots. Now they need to do that too. Sure. Or you help, like, okay, so we can do this and this and this, which means that, right? So that part is really key for everything that we do, no matter if it's shipping new feature or even having new company. Like, why would people come work for you, right, Nico? It's the same thing. Right. You need to explain it to folks like, hey, come work with us.
Yes.
Because we do this and this, which means that you will be able to, I don't know, grow, flourish, whatever.
And coming back on, for example, MVP Summit and conferences, all of that, it's all about that storytelling and messaging. But even the community calls, I think something what we say for the community call presenters, it's a really good example that please start with the context. Don't assume that people know what you're talking about. Don't say, as you know, and as you probably are aware, and we'll just skip to the main point. It's like, no. Spend 1, 2, 3 minutes on providing the context. What is it? How does it actually work? Okay. Then jump to the actual conclusions, which just tend to be always, we as an IT people, it's like everybody knows this already. No, they don't.
We're in a bubble.
They have
in a bubble.
Yes, exactly.
The problem with being inside a bubble is that you don't realize that you are inside a bubble.
Correct. Absolutely. And that's why communications is key. Anyway, so that's a great conclusion for the exactly. But thank you, Nico, for joining on the show. Really cool to catch up. Congratulations on the MVP status, and all the best for the company. I'm sure that it will be succeeding great. So really cool. And thank you for all of the contributions on the community side as well.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent. And from here, from the interview, we'll jump on the weekly articles with Waldek. So let's recap what has been released. Excellent. So thank you, Nico, one more time on that one. And then we'll jump to the weekly articles. A lot of stuff is happening this week, right?
Which is good. It's really cool to see the activity and people writing and sharing stuff. It's really exciting.
It is. So let's start with the typical monthly things. What's new in Microsoft Teams? I really like this. Like we talked about in the past. So a summary blog post related on what's new in Microsoft Teams with the GIF animations and all of that, and a lot of stuff and innovation across the devices and all and applications and all of that available within Teams. A lot of stuff. And then we had a new article related on a new Microsoft Teams bulk installer is now available for Windows, making it easier to contribute to Microsoft Teams across the enterprise installations. Because again, it's not that in a normal, well, this is actually, if you don't work in an enterprise, you don't probably understand how this works. But even in Microsoft, we can install whatever we want in the computers. But in a normal company, you don't have those permissions, and therefore the IT controls what is getting installed, and all of this is basically making that easier to control.
Maybe you don't. It depends on your company.
Depends on the company, absolutely 100%. Also, last week we had the Apple Vision Pro announcement, and Microsoft Teams is available in February 2nd, which is last Thursday, which is actually really, really cool. So you can actually use the Microsoft Teams directly within Apple Vision Pro. But don't drive or walk with the device, because that's not smart. So I think we've seen quite a few of those videos within the last few days. I love the video where the person is sitting in a Tesla, the new truck, Tesla truck.
Yeah.
And then Tesla is driving and he's doing something in front. It's just like, no.
But how on earth did he even get the idea that that's okay to do?
Well, the Tesla is pretty good on self-driving, but again,
You are
still.
Yes, but no.
Yes, exactly. All
You're
we
in
should
a
there.
car driving, I don't know, 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Yes. Just don't.
Yeah.
Good. We also had a new blog related on decorate your background in Microsoft Teams Premium, now available. I think we had this one previewed in previously, which is basically generative background effects in Teams, so you're able to hide and clean up what's happening behind of you. It's actually a pretty cool feature. So you're gonna, and it's actually making that really, really cool. It's hard to understand what's actually real and what's not. So it's getting better and better on these things. This isn't actually real. The dog isn't real, or is it? It's Monday. Boring. Anyway, so.
Declutter, clean up. Nice. Oh, now you just switched right when we were about to see the.
Fine. Let's generate backgrounds and woof,
Boom.
and it's clean.
What's changed?
It's clean. There's no stuff. There's no clutter.
Yeah, fair enough.
Cool. Anyway, we also had a top 10 reasons to attend Microsoft 365 conference. Community conference is happening in end of April, 13th of April and 1st and 2nd of May, with a pre-day workshops and post-day workshops. A lot of cool stuff and a lot of interesting announcements. What's actually happening from an AI and functionality perspective. So awesome stuff from Anna. We also had the monthly summary on SharePoint roadmap. So what's happening in here, together with an IntraZone podcast episode. And like previously, the SharePoint one is the one where we actually reference all of the different features across the Microsoft 365. So not just about SharePoint, but also all of the cool things in Viva, all of the cool things in admin side, and Microsoft 365 all up. But a lot of stuff as previously every single month. Cool stuff. We also, actually, this is a double blog post entry. So there's the one in the kind of double. No, it's a different perspective. The teams are in Apple Vision Pro, but this is for Microsoft 365 apps being in Apple Vision Pro, meaning the Word and PowerPoint and all of that. So we're able to create your presentation in virtual world.
Huh.
That's actually pretty cool. If that makes sense that you're editing and doing that. Anyway, then we had.
If that's your preferred way to interact.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cool that we enable you to do it too, right?
Absolutely, 100%. Now, we also had a announcement related on the Viva Connection. Viva Connection Desktop. The new desktop is now available worldwide, which enables you to have more controls on the layouts, and there's new features and capabilities within the Viva Connection desktop. The mobile is following a bit behind. It's already getting branded, but it's missing the hero section from a hero news section. But a lot of cool features and opportunities here for partner and extensibility as well. And there's a nice 20-minute video with Nancy and Leslie who are showcasing and explaining with real-world demos how does that actually work and what you're able to do and adjust. So really, really cool. On the developer side, make your Office add-in successful by harnessing free Microsoft partner programs. So good call out from Steve Yin around the different partner programs which you have available for Microsoft startups, Microsoft 365 app compliancy, and also Microsoft 365 developer program. Now, technically not specific for Office add-ins, it's for all of the different things what we have in Microsoft 365, so, which is great. We also had a general availability announcement finally for Viva Connection extensibility with bots. So what it means is that your Microsoft Teams bot can now power Viva Connection cards and experiences as well. So if you are a partner who already invested in the Microsoft Teams bot framework and building your things, you can now expose that to be powering also Viva, which is really, really cool. And videos and documentation obviously available there as well. This one came out on last Friday, not an optimal time and day to release blog post, but again, really important blog post, general availability of Microsoft Graph APIs for Microsoft Teams meeting recordings, which is really, really cool. So you're able to actually export meeting recordings and do magic with them if you want to. So really, really cool capabilities. And of course, transcript APIs and all of those are available. It's good to be aware though that these are paid APIs, so there's a cost associated with using.
But these are only for transcript, not for the whole meeting, right? Because the recording itself, can you get that for free?
I think you can.
So the recording itself is free, but then the transcript is not, I think, right?
Yes.
The way I read it.
Yes, that's true. That's my understanding as well. And that kind of makes sense because transcript is basically extracted from the video using AI and automation.
Yeah.
So it is actually quite heavy process. So therefore, providing that for free would, that would devalue the Azure video to text features and all of that. So I guess that's the idea. And then on the Power Platform side, it was a pretty quiet week, but January 2024 update for Power Automate for desktop is shared on that site by Yannis and walks through all of the different capabilities which are added in Power Automate for desktop. That's actually pretty cool automation as well. So automation software. Now, on the community side, Yannick Rickmans had a really good blog post related on get a never expiring Microsoft 365 developer program demand with Visual Studio subscription. This is definitely based on the guidance which we got from Kelly McCombs. Kelly is one of the PMs owning the developer program, and there has been some adjustments on the rules. And if you have a Visual Studio subscription, you will get a never-ending tenant, which is good. Because
never ending. It will end when your subscription ends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Never-ending story.
Close your eyes.
There we go. Excellent.
That reminds me so much of the. I don't know if you recall the scene from what is it called? Series on Netflix.
Which one?
The kids, with the upside down.
I'm not following. I have no idea.
Oh, come on. Now I want to know.
Now, can you add some notes for us for the recording? We'll need to add a video link to the never-ending story.
Yeah.
Song.
Stranger Things.
Oh, Stranger Things. Yes, of course. Absolutely. 100%. Cool. In here, we are in Sudharson on how to restrict pages list libraries for internal and external users using SPFX extension. That's actually really, really cool with the video as well. So creating an application customizer, which will then hide things based on the business requirements. That's actually not a bad use case. Now, this is most likely doing that by hiding in the UX. You are able to
which isn't a security
HTML.
measure
It's a security,
by any way,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's precisely what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Good, but really, really cool. Thank you, Sudharson, on that one. Here, Martin Linklitz had an applying inactive retention labels. So he's been really focusing on the retention labels and all of that stuff, which is great, an important piece of making sure things are getting cleaned up, and the retention labels are the ones which you are able to automate things. And there's some CLI automation available for that one as well.
Correct.
Really, really cool.
Well, which is also great, right? Because you have a feature and it comes with an API. So you can either apply it one-off through the UI, or you can build a script and automate it at scale.
Correct. Absolutely, 100%. I still love the fact that the cleaning up on that always reminds me on one of it was Ignite, where during the Ignite between Wednesday and Thursday, on like Thursday morning, there was a continuing Ignite. In one of the demo tenants started deleting stuff because it had the preview version of all of this compliance stuff, and everybody's like, "What's happening?" Because
Stop
demos were getting killed.
Stuff. Yeah.
Who's deleting?
Yeah.
Until somebody realized that, oh yes, we were using that tenant for testing that cleaning thing. Yes, thank you. Cool. João Ferreira, I'm really getting good at this, the Portuguese pronunciation.
So took you a little, but hey, it sounds good.
Yes. Had a blog post on how to stay top of your team's channel with discovery feed. Actually, really focusing on the discovery feed and how does that work and what's actually happening within the teams across the channels. At least in my case, I have a channel explosion, at least in my teams. I don't think it tells how many teams you are part of, but in my case, I guess it's hundreds. It's hard to stay up to date on what's relevant.
Yeah.
And discovery feed actually helps with that one, so you can actually go through and what's actually happening across the different channels, which is great. Valeras Narbutas had a blog post related on tip of the day, change quick link navigation orientation using PnP PowerShell and M365 CLI. So basically, how can we again automate new version of content? Okay, here we go. That was interesting. But we can basically automate the settings within the API level using CLI or PowerShell. And of course, you can do this in a mass because you have the PowerShell commandlets and APIs available, which is good. See, APIs are good. APIs are your friend.
Yes.
Marcus Miller had a blog post around action-based teams and Microsoft 365 messaging extension. So basically how to write one of those and implementing one of those using Visual Studio 2022. So that's actually really cool. Walking through the different Blazor solution structures, what does it actually mean, and how to make things happen, and even Fluent AI. So that's really cool. Thank you, Marcus, on that one. Kasper Larsen had a blog post related on teams per project or channel per project, your options. So that's actually a really good
question.
That is a good question.
And the answer is, of course, it depends. Drum roll.
Yes, exactly. Now, there's advantages and disadvantages in both options because, again, then the T projects files would be, okay, anyway, so that's actually really good. There is no right or wrong answer. There's multiple options. It depends. Here we had a from Priority Walker, I guess. Microsoft 365 governance implementation, exporting external users from SharePoint site using .NET Core and Microsoft Graph APIs. And so Graph API is available using .NET Core implementation to actually get that information, external users out from the sites for reporting and whatever purpose. So iterating through sites and lists. That's actually really good. Going through a scan on what's the exported. What are the external people who have been invited? Here we had a blog post from Alexander Henkel on Chrome extension, SharePoint DevTools. So just calling out the SharePoint DevTools and what can be done and how powerful that is for accessing information within a SharePoint Online. So if you have if you're building for SharePoint or for teams, but SharePoint is behind the scenes and you need to understand the structures behind the things, SharePoint DevTools is a really great solution to use directly within a browser. You get much more additional insights on what's behind the scenes.
Cool.
And then the last one, but not the least, Mahmoud Hassan from Avanade had a post video around Microsoft Copilot for Sales with new enhanced Teams app. So that's actually really good. We did release the Microsoft Copilot for Sales. We didn't have a blog post, by the way, on that one on last week. Yeah, It's just so many locations.
Yeah.
So many locations.
Well, if only
But
there
thank
was
you.
one right now.
Yeah. If only there would be one location, maybe there's a text box where you can go and say something like search queries, and then you would,
Wishful thinking.
Yes. For videos, AutoTag membership, hide for your channels, episode 320 in the Message Center show with Daryl and Daniel. So that's available as 2 hours ago, so really, really fresh. We also had a new video from Paolo related on Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365 in Microsoft Outlook. So how does it actually work? What does it do? What are the interesting functionalities? It's a really cool video as well. Shane had a new video around 5 fancy functions on the Power Apps. So things to be aware which are available, which will improve your productivity as a developer. Let me actually move. That pause scene is not good. Here we go. And then April had a new video as well, Master Your Time with modern weekly timesheet Power Apps templates. So really, really cool Power App templates, which is available for you as a starting point as well. Really, really cool. That's it for now for all of the stuff what we had in the pipeline.
Correct.
Thank you, Nico, for the great chat. See, Doc already started sleeping. Wasn't a good show. So
your voice is so, you have such a soothing voice. People just fall asleep.
Yes.
It's just the
all
natural
the value of what we
harmony,
provide.
rhythm,
Yes. Providing value any way I can. So.
Yes.
Good. We already went through what's happening this week. I guess that's it for this one. So thank you, Nico, for joining. We'll be back within PnP Weekly within a week. Surprise, surprise. I think we have quite a few weeks already scheduled advance, so we have a lot of people due up for interviews.
Correct. We have some more exciting guests, and we're looking forward to seeing what everybody will write and share and record and share with the others so that we can share it too.
Yes, absolutely. PnP hashtag in Twitter or in LinkedIn is the great way for us to understand what I'm writing. PnP Weekly. Hashtag PnP Weekly.
Yes.
PnP.
It's not that hard.
All good. Awesome. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll be back within a week. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.
See ya, folks.